Well, for more on the U.S. jobs report, I spoke with Mike Steinitz. He's the district president of recruiting firm Robert Half. And I started off by asking him about his reaction to these lower than expected jobs figures.
I mean, honestly, it was a little bit lower than what economists had expected. But if you look back over the past several months, some months it's a little bit above, some months it's a little bit behind. Bottom line is companies are continuing to hire. The summer's kind of a funny time, and August is a little bit off, but we honestly see a lot of hiring still going on.
August is traditionally a slower month. Now, while the numbers were lower than expected, if you look at the overall trend, it does reflect the 71st consecutive months of job gains, and that is the longest streak on record. Are we giving the job market enough credit here? Is it healthier than we give it credit for?
It's funny you asked that, Michelle, because I agree with you. I think the economy is, from a job hiring standpoint, doing a lot better than what some people give it credit for. What we're seeing is that there's a lot of hiring going on, and companies are having to move quickly if they want the right candidate. Otherwise, they're risking losing out on that candidate. And believe it or not, some candidates are vying for the same position, and it's actually driving up salaries.
But which sectors are you seeing this in? I mean, this can't be in which industries is this more prevalent in than others?
It's prevalent in a lot of professional, sort of college-educated level positions. So technology continues to be very hot, accounting and finance, marketing, legal, healthcare. These industries are continuing to show a really healthy growth.
There's been the notion that jobs in the financial sector have been on the downtrend ever since the financial crisis, and that the growth there isn't what it used to be. You're seeing otherwise?
Absolutely, because one thing the financial crisis did was there's a tremendous need for compliance. And there's all these laws and rules and such that companies are so keyed into making sure, not just in the financial sector, but in every industry, the accounting and finance of a company is really important to make sure they're following all the rules and really being tight to what they're forecasting.
Well, you're seeing a growth in salaries as well. Your company, Robert Half, released its 2017 salary guide. The national average for starting salaries for U.S. professional occupations expected to increase 3.6% next year. How does that compare with previous years?
It is slowing down a little bit from what it had done the previous 2 years. Now, with that being said, the previous 2 years saw unbelievable growth in certain areas, such as technology, which continues to be red hot. But as these areas, you can't continue that same trend year after year after year of really explosive salary growth. At some point, it's going to slow down a little bit, which is what it's doing, but still growing nicely.
What has been the average increase of salaries over the past 5 years or so?
The past couple of years, we were up into the 5-6%, depending on the position. You know, and again, this is a national average, because what you'll see, and I see it every day, some positions, depending on the geography, depending on the industry, it's a supply and demand thing, like with anything. And when there's very few candidates for a particular position, then salaries just start climbing. And we're seeing that every day.
You mentioned technology. You say there's a projected 3.8% increase in pay. What specific positions, though?
There's developers, there's various infrastructure sort of positions. I mean, if you look around these days, just about every company is investing in their technology systems and trying to find the best way to streamline. So anyone that has to do with coding, developing, all those sort of things is in high demand.
What happened to this notion that people coming out of college are struggling to find jobs? That does seem to have been the narrative that we're hearing. Are you seeing otherwise then?
We definitely are seeing otherwise. You know, the one thing where obviously if you're coming out of college, you don't have as much experience. So it's really important to be really good about networking and getting out in front and meeting as many people as possible, because by and large, what helps those individuals get positions is, do they show a sort of a cultural compatibility? Can they get along with others and be good team players?
Your study focuses mostly on starting salaries. What is the trend that we're seeing for non-starting positions, maintaining the same position in the same company? What is the increase?
Well, you know, we're still seeing a pretty moderate increase, you know, where there's reviews going on, and every company's a little bit different, but you know, the 3 to 4% is not unreasonable. The fact of the matter is, because there's such a healthy amount of hiring going on in the marketplace, a company needs to remain competitive with their current employees, or they risk losing them. So they have to be really keen on making sure the money's there, not to mention other things, benefits and career development and that sort of thing, and having an engaging manager. But salaries are obviously a pretty important part of a person's job.